Good morning. Today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. This is part one of a two-part series that I hope to continue and complete tomorrow morning. And what I'm going to share with you today and tomorrow is based on a combination of the writing of Bailey Newman and Aviva Zornberg. We're going to start with last week's Torah portion, and then which is VaYeishev, and then come tomorrow to this week's Torah portion, the Parsha MiKeitz. VaYeishev Yaakov be'eretz megurei Aviv. This past Shabbos we read, Yaakov dwelled in the land that his father dwelled in, be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. And Rashi tells us that when Yaakov dwelled there, Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalva. Yaakov wanted to dwell in peace, in calm, in harmony. He wanted shalva, harmony. And can you blame Yaakov? Remember at what point in his life this verse comes. After the trouble with Esav, and then the trouble with Dinah. He had already had very difficult experiences, the difficulties with his father-in-law Lavan, the problems in the marriages, so many difficulties and challenges in life. And finally, he comes back to Israel. He settles down. Things seem to be quieting. Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalva. And the truth is, I think we can relate to that. At a certain point in our lives, I think we say to ourselves many times, I just want to calm. I just want to enjoy what I have. I just want to be, let it be quiet. I'll just say this. At this moment in my life, I've been through a lot. I would just like calm. I would just like it to be just stay even just for a little while. Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalva. Yaakov just wants to live with calm. But God says to Yaakov, it's not enough for you that you're going to receive a reward in Olam Haba, in the world to come. You think you deserve calm and quiet and peace in this world also? No. And immediately, at the beginning of last week's Torah portion, comes the tragedy of the enmity between Yosef and his brothers. And by the fourth verse in the Parsha, the Torah says the brothers wanted to kill, God forbid, kill their brother Yosef. Seems like so harsh a rebuke. I mean, for Yaakov even to just want calm in his life, and God says, I'll show you, and the tragedy with Yosef happens. Why does God respond so harshly to Yaakov's seemingly appropriate and maybe universal request? When a person learns to become a therapist, there's a concept that people learn. It's helpful for people who are not therapists, but especially for a therapist, it's important to learn to be in both a state of knowing and unknowing. In a state of expertise, I have certain knowledge, I have certain expertise, but at the same time, I have uncertainty. I have a feeling of being unsettled, a feeling of being unbiased and non-judgmental of the experience of the person who's sitting in front of me, the patient. In other words, the therapist has expertise. If I go to a therapist, so that therapist has expertise that I do not have. But at the same time, that therapist is not automatically going to have the answers to my experiences and my problems, they are going to have to explore with me. But that means that forget about what I have to go through. What the therapist has to go through is the feeling that he or she does not know, is not certain, does not have a feeling of understanding everything immediately all at once, even though that therapist has a tremendous amount of expertise in his or her area. Now, the term for this is negative capability. The first person to use this term was John Keats, and he used it in a letter in 1817 to his brother, in which he talks about the capacity to live with a sense of mystery and unknowing. Here's what he wrote. Negative capability is when a man is capable of being in uncertainties. One more time. Is capable of being in uncertainties. When a man is capable of being in doubts. A person can allow as yet unimagined creative possibilities to emerge. The therapist or anyone else can say, I recognize that there will come a moment when it will be clear to me, but right now, I'm okay with the fact that I'm just taking in the information without understanding it, without certainty about it. Negative capability is about being without a template and yet being able to not only tolerate the position of not knowing, but shining and relishing in the uncertainty. That's not easy to do. Many of us, I would say most of us, are uncomfortable in uncertainty. But it's a really important skill. The philosopher Martha Nussbaum describes it as follows. To be a good human is to have a kind of openness to the world, an ability to trust uncertain things beyond your own control. And that says something very important about the ethical life, that it is based on a trust in the uncertainty, on a willingness to be exposed. If I only offer to help someone that I know will appreciate it, will recognize it, will be grateful for it, okay, yeah, that's a very nice moral thing. But the moral life requires that I go further, that I be willing to show humanity and concern for someone that I do not know what the response will be. When there may not be gratitude or even recognition or even there may even be hostility in the kindness that, in response to the kindness that I'm trying to show. That's when my kindness, that's when my moral act becomes something really significant, when I'm not even sure what the reaction will be. I'm willing to expose myself. Listen to this image. It's based on being more like a plant than a jewel. Just think about this metaphor for a moment. The metaphor of a plant, the beauty of a plant versus the beauty of a jewel. They're both beautiful, right? It's based on being more like a plant than a jewel. A plant is something rather fragile, but whose very particular beauty is inseparable from that fragility. The beauty of a plant, of a flower, is fleeting. But the fact that it is fleeting is what makes it so beautiful. The beauty of a jewel, it's permanent. It will always be there. Okay, that's very nice. But this idea, negative capability, means that we need to spend a lot of our life, a lot of our attention and effort learning to be a plant, not a jewel. To offer beauty when there is uncertainty, when we do not know what the response or the consequences will be. Jose Ortega wrote, "Life is fired at us point blank. We cannot say, 'Hold it, I'm not quite ready. Wait until I have sorted things out.' Decisions have to be taken that we are not ready for. Aims have to be chosen that we cannot see clearly. That's how life goes. Boom. You got to decide. You got to choose. You got to go left or right." And here's the truth about life. We all think that what we need are the answers. We all think that what we need is for everything to be clear, for everything to be peaceful, to be calm, to be still. We may all think that, but it's not true, because what we really need in order to be a better person is to learn to live in and love the questions. We need to learn that we will not always have the right things emerge from our lips. When the student or the patient or the one I love says something in front of us or sets something in front of us, we may not know what to say. We may not know what the right response is at that moment. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, the famous psychologist, founder of logotherapy, he wrote, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. What he needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost, but the call of a potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by him." That's really the basis of logotherapy. And this is how Aviva Zornberg understands Yaakov's requests. Yaakov rotze leshev b'shalva. Yaakov wants to live in a stable life, in a world where he has a coherent understanding of his own experience, where there is moral certainty. I know my place. I know what I should do. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. And I can just go through life with that certainty. What God says to Yaakov is, that will happen in Olam Haba, in the world to come, after we pass from this human life. Our souls, our neshamos, will live in that state of moral and spiritual equanimity. But in this world, what we need most is the capacity to act in a world where absolute clarity is not obtainable. It's not that we can't get it, it's that it does not exist here. This world is not created to house certainty. It is created to provide scenario after scenario of challenge and uncertainty and tension. That's what this life is. God was not rebuking Yaakov for wanting to live b'shalva, with calm. God was teaching Yaakov that that is not what is the best for you. Yes, I understand. You think that that's what you want. I understand. And I want it also. I think that that's what I want. But what God is saying is, Yaakov, that's not going to end up being the best thing for you. Because what is best for you, Yaakov, is what brings out the best in you, Yaakov. And what brings out the best in you, Yaakov, is challenge and uncertainty. God is not punishing Yaakov. God is teaching Yaakov. And Yaakov in this is every one of us who imagines that this is what we would like from life, to be able to live b'shalva, to know what is right and wrong, to know how to proceed, to have some calm. And every one of us is perplexed by contingency. And we are searching for this spiritual and philosophical calm. That's what we want. But God said to Yaakov, and God is saying to us at the same time, we are mistaken. What is best for us in this world is not shalva. Yaakov needed to become more comfortable with discomfort and uncertainty. And we all need this lesson in order not to be repeatedly disappointed and frustrated by life. Because if you come in with the expectation that you would like to live a life of calm, philosophical and spiritual calm, again, I'm not talking about physical life and danger and violence and God forbid those things, but at least philosophical, spiritual calm. If we come into life thinking that this is what we should be able to expect, we will just be disappointed because it doesn't happen. And so in order for us, like Yaakov, to appreciate what life is really about, we have to understand the lesson that God taught Yaakov, the lesson that this world is the place where we are to experience uncertainty and doubt in order to bring out the best in us. And the person who learned this lesson the best of all, the expert in learning this lesson, was Yosef, Yaakov's son, in this week's Torah portion of MiKeitz. And with God's help, tomorrow morning, we will turn to what Yosef understood and how it changed the way he saw his life by understanding the answer that God provided to Yaakov. My friends, I wish you a good day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.